This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Looks like we have a new arrival date and timeline for the Build Back Better bill according to the White House. I'll give you more details on that. I'm also going to give you the Republican perspective on the Build Back Better plan, whether or not they plan on helping. We'll go over this article right here. New stimulus checks arrive next week, how much you'll get, and the future of payments. And I'll give you some other more important updates as well. Hope you're having a terrific Tuesday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced update, hit the like button down below. Let's talk stimulus checks first. So stimulus checks update, several billionaires received federal direct payments, report says. Spoke about this the other day, but this article just came out yesterday. So if you didn't catch it, there were about 18 billionaires who received stimulus checks, including one of them being George Soros. Now, the irony here is that the people who have the most money got stimulus checks, when the people who barely have enough money to survive, they're the ones who are not getting any help at all. So a few of these billionaires said that they gave the stimulus checks back. A few of them did not comment whether or not they gave the stimulus checks back. Let me know your thoughts on all that down in the comments below. New stimulus checks arrive next week, how much you'll get, and the future of the payments. So looks like for the child tax credit, the next payment, direct deposit, is going to be Monday, November 15th. Those are for the parents who have kids age 0 to 6. You get $300 for any kids 6 to 17. Then you get $250, and there's two more payments left, November 15th, December 15th, and then you get the rest of the payment in January when you do your taxes. In terms of a fourth stimulus check for the $2,000 per month to every American on the change.org petition, currently at 2,953,000 signatures so far. And when it comes to the big bill, the infrastructure and the Build Back Better plan, so as bipartisan infrastructure bill passes, here's what's next for Biden's economic plan. So Democrats are turning their focus to a social safety net and climate bill after Congress passed the bipartisan bill, and the House aims to approve the plan next week, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said both chambers aim to pass it by Thanksgiving. So Chuck Schumer is saying Thanksgiving. The White House has something else to say about that. I'll play you the clip from the White House in a moment, but here is a quick summary video clip explaining exactly what's going on now, what the steps are moving forward.
First hurdle they have to clear is the official score from the Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan scorekeeper in Congress that analyzes legislation. 5 centrist House Democrats, and let's put their names up on the screen here, have demanded that vote before they consider supporting this Build Back Better legislation. They want to make sure it matches up with the White House projections that it is paid for. If that does come, and it's expected sometime in the next few days or the next week or so, they can get this out of the House and pass it by Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving, because these 5 Democrats have committed to do that. But that's just the beginning. Then it goes over to the Senate, where it's going to get what's known as the bird bath, where you cleanse it of all these provisions that don't comply with the rules. Republicans can raise a point of order against anything, and the parliamentarian, the Senate referee, is going to have the final word. There are also issues that Senator Joe Manchin, the West Virginia centrist, has with some provisions in the House bill, including 4 weeks of guaranteed paid leave. He is not a proponent of that, doesn't believe it should be in this bill. The bill is likely going to have to be pared back a little bit to meet Manchin's demands. After that, it'll be ping-pong back to the House of Representatives, which can give it final passage. Now, Shep, Democrats also have to navigate the fact that they have a government funding deadline in December 3rd, have to pass a bill or the government shuts down. The debt limit. There could be a catastrophic economic meltdown if Congress does not act to raise the debt limit, and that's also coming up in December. So a number of obstacles here, a couple of very important weeks coming up ahead before the end of the year for President Biden's agenda. Shep.
Sahil Kapoor, thank you.
So when you hear it from that perspective, seems like there's a lot more obstacles than the Democrats are saying on all these interviews that I share with you. They say, yeah, we're just about done. We're going to pass it easily. But they have the CBO, they have Joe Manchin, they have the debt limits, debt ceiling, government funding. So a lot of obstacles that are coming up over the next few weeks. So the White House says next week, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are saying by Thanksgiving. Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. I'm going to still play that video clip from the White House of what they said in terms of how it's going to happen next week. So let's talk about the Republicans' perspective. So Republicans who backed infrastructure bill face attacks conflating it with social spending package. So none of the Republicans are going to vote for the big Build Back Better plan, and a few of them actually voted for the infrastructure bill. Here is the perspective from the Republicans on why they did not vote on the infrastructure and why they will not back the Build Back Better plan.
Great conversation. Now let's bring in Florida Republican Congressman and member of the House Budget Committee, Byron Donalds. He joins us now. And Congressman, thank you for coming on. I want to go back, if we can, to these 13 Republicans who voted for the president's infrastructure bill. You had Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, there they are, by the way, Pete Buttigieg saying a short time ago he thinks that this vote is going to reflect well on those members. The National Review disagrees, quoting here, every Republican who voted for this monstrosity who is not already retiring should be primaried and defeated by candidates who will actually resist the left-wing agenda. Those who are retiring should be shamed for the rest of their lives. It also is not too soon to be asking whether Representative Kevin McCarthy should be ousted from leadership for his inability to keep his caucus together on such a crucial vote. Where do you come down, Congressman?
First of all, I'm highly disappointed with the vote that happened. There's no reason that any colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle should have helped Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi pass this infrastructure bill. First of all, it's a bad bill. That's number one. It does spend some money in key areas and key corridors in the United States, but it taxes across the country. It begins to drop that climate change nonsense in the Department of Transportation already more than it already is. Now, to the members of my caucus that voted for this, you did the absolute wrong thing. You never should have voted for this. If you wanted infrastructure, you should have negotiated a better deal after we defeated this one. With respect to the leadership, I know that they were talking to these members relentlessly, trying to get them not to vote this way. But unfortunately, we had people who went to the other side on this vote. It was the wrong vote. People in their districts are not going to be pleased by this, especially when electricity costs are going to go up as a result of what happened in this bill.
You talk about representatives going to the other side here. Nicole Malliotakis, who's a Republican congresswoman from New York, she said the following, quoting here, "I weakened their hand. They have no leverage now. I voted against AOC and the squad tonight." She thinks that she actually weakened the Democrats so they can't pass reconciliation. What's your thought?
With all due respect to Nicole, she's absolutely wrong. All that vote did is tee up the larger social spending budget reconciliation bill that they've been wanting to pass all along. What you really did is you just gave them a break to demonstrate to moderate Democrats that they'll do whatever is necessary to accomplish their agenda. The moderate Democrats are in no position of power at all. Yeah, they're celebrating this infrastructure bill, but they're going to be held to the line to vote for the reconciliation bill, the larger package, the social infrastructure package. All Nicole did and the other 13 Republicans did, also, mind you, with the 19 Senate Republicans who started this process down the road months ago, all they have done is created a pathway for Joe Biden's job-killing socialist agenda to be passed here in the United States. It was the exact wrong vote.
What are your thoughts on what Republican Brian Donalds has to say about it? Do you agree, disagree? So it looks like Republicans are not going to support the Build Back Better plan anytime soon. When it comes to the Build Back Better bill, one of the holdups that was mentioned before, moderate Democrats expect CBO score, White House cost analysis of spending package matchups. So basically, you have this guy right here, Josh Gottheimer, as well as the 5 others that was shown in the video clip earlier. They want to see the CBO score, the Congressional Budget Office score. It's a nonpartisan, basically just providing the numbers to see if the numbers make sense. And once they get the CBO score, and if it's okay, then they might pass or they might vote on it. But I have a feeling that they're using this to buy some time for the CBO to get the score. And then depending on how the CBO score is, even if it's slightly good, they're probably going to say that it's bad. And they probably didn't want to vote on it to begin with. So that's where the moderate Democrats stand with that. When it comes to the White House and timeline, White House eyes U.S. House vote on spending bill next week, according to Brian Dees. So White House economic advisor Brian Dees said that he expects lawmakers to work through the issues with Democrat social spending bill this week and vote on the measure in the House of Representatives next week. So this is a different timeline, but he is sort of on the sidelines because he's not really in Congress. He's not part of the House, part of the Senate. He's in the White House. So his perspective is a little different. Here's what he has to say about that.
Joe Manchin was pretty straightforward, though. He said that he thinks there are games being played with some of the programs being cut down by the number of years. He doesn't think a CBO scoring will show it to be $1.75 trillion or $1.9 trillion. He thinks it'll be much higher. Those other House Democrats want to see it, too. What do you think the CBO score will show?
Well, I think that this will show and reinforce that this bill is fully paid for. It's been a while in Washington, D.C. since we've really put together something that is fully paid for and will reduce the deficit across time. That's what this piece of legislation will do. We judge every piece of legislation on its own, and if you look at both the investments, the tax cuts, and the revenue increases in this bill, what you're going to see, it's fully paid for in the first decade and significant deficit reduction in the second decade as well. So we're confident that that's what we're going to see when you look at all the different component parts of this legislation. And again, we'll move this process forward.
Hey, Brian, I did get an email from David Walker, the former Comptroller General of the United States, earlier today. This is something he's been talking about for a long time, but I know it has echoes from other politicians, other people in both the Senate and the House. He says that now that the bipartisan infrastructure bill has passed in Congress, he would like to draw a federal fiscal line and just make sure that there's not an expansion of entitlement programs until Congress and the president have restored the solvency and sustainability of the Social Security and Medicare programs. He points out that those programs had over $65 trillion in unfunded promises as of September 30th of 2020. And the amount is growing by trillions a year. Now, again, this is something he's been talking about for a very long time. It certainly precedes this administration. But when you hear calls like that, what do you think? He'd like to see some sort of fiscal sustainability commission set up.
Well, I appreciate David's perspective and others, and frankly, it's welcome after a 4-year period where Congress and the president added $8 trillion in unpaid for deficit to the deficit, including the $2 trillion unpaid for tax cut in 2017. What we're bringing is a focus on doing things in a sound and fiscally sustainable way. You raise Medicare, for example. If you look at the Build Back Better bill, not only would it lower prescription drug prices for American families, it would lower prescription drug costs for the Medicare program. You look at the tax side of this bill, we would close a loophole in the Medicare self-employment tax, which helps to restore revenue to the general fund and to help support our long-term obligations. So that's what this bill does. It is the first time in quite some time that we actually take seriously doing something in a fiscally sustainable way while making critical investments like lowering the cost of prescription drugs, like lowering the cost of child care. So that's exactly what we've got going here in this Build Back Better agenda. And as I said, we look forward to working these things through and then a vote in the House next week.
Brian Dees being slightly optimistic right there, saying that it could happen next week. It could happen next week, but that would mean that all the Democrats would have to be on board, the CBO score would have to be delivered by then, and the whole thing would have to be negotiated and approved and then voted on. So it is possible. Next week is the last week before the House and the Senate actually go on another vacation or work recess period, whatever you want to call it. So it's starting to get to crunch time, because once it hits December, that's when all of the government funding and debt limit is going to be crazy. It's going to be really, really crazy. So the next few weeks are really crucial if the Democrats want to get anything done. If not, it could be delayed until 2022. And at this point, as I mentioned earlier, no stimulus checks in that bill yet. I'll keep you updated if anything else changes. And that is all the stimulus news I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is a tip of the day. I want to tell you the one thing when you feel sad, you have to do something that you really want to make you feel better or make you feel true. Or you can also, if you help somebody, then you'll feel even better or something. Or if something's really into you and you're really feeling good, you should do that as well. Bye, this is Bella. This was the tip of the day.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. So here are some clips of the kids from back in the day. This is from a while ago, and hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy your day as well. If you want to check out any of my other videos on my other channels, you could click up here, or you could click down here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Be safe. Thank you for watching.